Okay. Need to just get my link out to people. Just 1 second. My phone's dinging. Ding. We're gonna go here. Okay, there's that. And do this. And I think might be it. Hi, Princess. Hello. So first of all, great live show earlier. That was a lot of fun. That was so much fun. I had such a good time. I don't know how next week's live show is going to go for the betrayals because Brandy and Bree already know this because I told them this when I was in Randy's live sprints Thursday. I DNF'd the betrayals, like full on DNF'd. I didn't care for it. I really didn't. It's just, it wasn't for me. Plain as that. Was not a book that I could really enjoy. I really DNF'd it. So okay, here's my thing with it. I understand that like everyone really seems to like the writing style and a lot of the mystery surrounding around it. For me, it personally was, I felt like I could not follow what was going on to the point where I felt that the book was making me feel stupid. And I don't like that. I don't like feeling like I'm stupid. Like I'm totally fine with a book, dropping you in the middle of things and like you having to find your way to like the story. But this was like beyond annoying. Way too much. I agree. Like, and it was like there was a certain point because I got like a third of the way through it. I got to the point where the two main characters basically found out the connection, like why the girl hates the guy that has basically to do with her brother's death. That was what I got to. And I still don't even really know what the rest of the mystery was about, but I don't know. And to top it off, the writing style for me was just really kind of like, it was a little much for me. Like it was nice, wasn't my kind of book. I feel like too that the whole like rich kid chess school kind of idea, I think that was what was going on. Oh, she is the brother. Okay. Honestly, I'm not interested in going back to it. I know Brandy and Bree, they were trying to kind of in a way convince me to go back to it. Not like, being pushy about it in their live show, but they were all talking about the betrayals with Paco and Alicia. It's not something that's interesting to me. I don't think I'm going to go back to it, and I don't think I'm going to read anything more of Bridget Collins, but I'm really glad everybody else seemed to enjoy it. Just wasn't for me. So, but that's interesting. I would not have thought that there would have been like a whole secret identity thing going on with that one, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'm excited though to read the Arithmetist. Like that's going to be a fun one because I'm already digging Brandon Sanderson's writing. Like this is going to be really fun. I'm very excited for that. Don't let them pressure you. We had a whole talk about it this morning and I said she didn't do a good job with the world building. See, okay. And the whole world building aspect for me, I like the idea of it being a prestigious school somewhere in France. I like that. I like that it's very, UK kind, or not maybe necessarily UK, but very European inspired. I like that. I don't particularly give a shit about chess, if that was even what the school was supposed to be for. Like, it is not something I care about. And I feel like everything was supposed to be going back to chess, including the politics. And I was like, oh, it's not in France. Because, see, the names made it seem like it was French. And they even say grand jeu, which is French for big game. Definitely in somewhere in Europe. Okay, because it seemed very French, or maybe like Belgium, maybe. But I don't know. Just everything sounded very French to me, which was interesting. But no, I agree. The world building I was not a fan of. I feel like everything kind of relating back to chess was a little too much and just over my head. Don't ever find out what the school is. Are you serious? Oh my God. See, okay, I can't with that book. Nope. Or where it came from. Oh my God. I can't. Like, again, I'm really happy that Brie and Brandy really seem to like it, and Paco and Alicia, or the purpose for the party. See, or the end game. Oh my God. That's so frustrating. See, and if that is seriously what ends up happening, I am glad that I ended up DNFing it about a third of the way through, because I was struggling. I was struggling so hard with that. So I'm glad that I might have, I'm really glad that I just ended up DNFing it. Nothing really besides the characters. See, I like character stories. I do. I like stories if it's intentional that they're only based on the characters. But I don't like this whole mystery aspect that, like, you're supposed to kind of start to figure out, but it doesn't really ever, like, get developed and nothing else really gets developed. I don't like that shit. That's annoying. Like, what's the point of me even reading this if it's not either specifically about the characters, or you're not even going to, like, end up talking about anything else that's already been established? See, you were going to even DNF it. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm not the only one. I feel much more validated. Thank you. I'm glad that somebody else, seems to can be kind of like on the same wavelength with me on it. I appreciate how everybody seems to really like her. I just, not it for me, which is totally fine. I am currently, though, enjoying what I'm reading. I'm a little behind with my reading schedule for the month, but it's whatever. It's kind of at a point where, like, I know I'm just kind of slogging through this because it's taking me time, since this is a high fantasy story. But I am enjoying this one really much. I feel like now that I'm halfway through this, basically, I'm getting to, like, really good stuff. So I'm very excited. I feel like there was no point introducing anything if she wasn't going to do anything with it. Seriously, that was my point. I mean, I know that I also missed out a lot with not understanding the character of the rat, but I didn't see any point to her, because by the time I got to, like, a third of the way through, again, I had only seen 2 chapters from that perspective. Only 2, the very beginning and, like, one of the last chapters I ended up reading. I think it was like the second to last chapter I read before I finally just gave up on it. And I had no clear idea, like, what the hell this other character was supposed to be about, if she was going to be anything at all. But I don't know, just, I'm not trying to make this like a hate train on the betrayals. Like, if you liked it, great. I'm happy for you. Anybody else that, might be feeling like I'm attacking one of their books, but honestly, it just wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. I don't think I'm ever going to go back to it. And I just feel like I did kind of waste my time with it in some capacity. So that's all right. Not missing anything. That's fair. But okay, so hello everybody. Today, by the way, Princess, aren't you supposed to be streaming soon? What are you doing here, girl? What are you doing here? Or maybe it's not for like another couple hours. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I feel like you were supposed to do streaming around 8 my time, which is 5 your time. I don't remember. That's bad of me. I need to be better about that. Later in about an hour and a half. Oh, okay. So cool. I'm glad you can make it today. So for those of you that might be new or might be joining in for the first time, whatever, hello, my name is Gabby. I go by the moniker of the Curious Owl, and every Saturday from about 8 p.m. Eastern to midnight Eastern, I do reading sprints. I have to grab my dice here in a minute, but basically how I do sprints is I roll a d12, and each number on that d12 corresponds to a 5-minute time. So 1 would be 5 minutes, 12 is basically a full hour. And we roll the d12, see what we get, and we end up sprinting for that long. It doesn't have to be just reading. It can be work, chores, writing, whatever you decide to do. I typically will read or, maybe edit a video if I need to, but I don't. Today, I am working through The Fires of Heaven by Robert Jordan. This is book 5 in the Wheel of Time series. And my goal for tonight is to get to page 550-ish, which I think is pretty attainable because I'm already on page 493 at this point. So I think it's possible. But then basically what we do is for the first sprint, we usually do somewhere between 10 to 30 minutes. So I roll the d12, and if it lands somewhere between a 2 to a 6, we will do a sprint in that range. And I never, ever, ever do anything that is a 5-minute sprint because I feel like that is not really enough time to get anything done effectively, at least. So we will never do 5-minute sprints. We will always do a minimum of 10. But for the first sprint, we always do between 10 to 30 just because it's a nice warm up for everybody to get started. So give me 1 second so I can grab my dice because they are on the other side of the room. Also, for those of you that have been here for a while, well, one, I'm in my pajamas. I've been in my pajamas all day because it's Saturday and I didn't have anything to do today. But my table's gone. My little table tray is actually right over there, honestly. So it's not fully gone, but it's no longer propped. All of this space, other than my laptop down here, is clean, which is so nice. I have a bookshelf over there that I built that has all of my extra stuff, like my journals and stuff like that. So it's out of the way and I can feel like I can move again back here, which is so nice. So, all right, we're going to get started with our first sprint here in a couple minutes. We'll start at the 15-minute mark. But what is everybody reading today? What are we working on? What are we doing? I think that if I can get to page 550 of this, before the end of the night, I'm going to transfer over to my other book I'm currently working on, which is The Book of Magic by Alice Hoffman. If none of you are familiar with Alice Hoffman, she is the writer of the book Practical Magic that was made into a movie in the 90s. It's a very popular Halloween movie for a lot of people. It's one of my favorites. The Book of Magic is the direct sequel that was released in 2021 of the story of Practical Magic. If you're interested, I actually do have videos that kind of like vlogs, and in my wrap-ups, I talk about the other books that are in this series because so far it is a quartet. I don't know whether or not there's going to be more after this one. I kind of hope not because of the fact that this one, it kind of plays more into the stuff about what happens to the daughters that we know about in Practical Magic, Sally's daughters. So Princess, of course, playing video games. Love it. Love it. What are you playing today? I know you said you finished that one game you were working on your Welcome Back stream. I think you said you finished it. But what are you playing today? Are we playing more Assassin's Creed? Are you playing something else? What we got doing? What do we got doing? What do we got going on? Yeah, so I think that those are going to be the two I work on today. Like I said, get to page 550, The Fires of Heaven, then transfer over to the Book of Magic and get a little bit more in that one because I'm only like 15 pages into it and I would like to get through a little bit more. So very excited for how tonight's going to go. Ooh, Apex with Mike. Fun. Love it. Hi, Mistborn. Okay, Issa, nice. Okay, so I don't know if you're, I'm assuming you might not be a part of it, but please tell me if I'm wrong. Castle Library here, Princess, she is doing a Brandon Sanderson read-along, and we're actually reading the Mistborn books right now. We just actually had a live show earlier today for Well of Ascension. So we're all done with the Well of Ascension. We're going to be getting ready to start the Hero of Ages here really soon. So tell me how you're thinking of Mistborn. I really enjoyed it myself, and I know Princess did as well. I don't know what you'll be playing, what I'll be playing on stream. Okay. Which Mistborn? I don't know. I hope that if they're part of the reading series, you know, but I don't know if they are. I don't recognize Issa exactly off the top of my head. I could be wrong about that. And if so, I apologize, but I don't remember. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and roll for our first sprint. We're going to see what we end up getting. Let's see what we end up getting. Go. 3. Okay. Nice, short, easy. Roll to 3, which means we're going to have a 15-minute sprint to start us off with, get us nice and warmed up, get us prepared for the rest of the night. No, I have not had really too much caffeine today. I'm just in a really good mood. So, what do we got? Oh, excuse me. I have a really cute little timer here. It's like a little spring timer. We're going to do that instead. There we go. It's got like a little sunshine, springtime. Very excited. Reading it with a Books to Book Club. We're a bit behind you guys. My book says Mistborn, but I think it's been renamed The Final Empire. Okay, so it's book 1. Yeah. Mistborn, Final Empire, they're kind of like the same thing. I think it depends on when it was published, where it was published, something along those lines. Like kind of similar to like with, for instance, Harry Potter, where they have it like in the US is the Sorcerer's Stone. Most other places, it's the Philosopher's Stone. So I think that they're pretty much interchangeable titles. But yeah, hope you like it. We really seem to enjoy it, everybody. Like, it's a fun time. It's a ride. And like I said, we just had our live show for the Well of Ascension, and it was a trip. It was a trip. I'm very excited to see how the Hero of Ages goes. Yep. First one. Thank you. It's just on YouTube. You can go find it. Like, just search up 15-minute timer and it pops up. It's one of the newer ones. Mike is having a problem with his console, so I'll join y'all for this first sprint. Okay, cool. Liking it a lot considering I DNF'd. You DNF'd Elantris? Really? What was it? When we come back from this sprint, you'll have to tell me what exactly it was about it, because I'm curious to hear the thoughts with Elantris, since it is kind of, it's another book in the Cosmere. So I'm curious to hear what kind of went on with that one. But we're going to go ahead and get started with our first sprint, everybody. We're going to do 15 minutes, come back around the 31-minute mark, and I will see all of you guys in 15. Hope that didn't scare anybody. I apologize if it did. But that was our first 15-minute sprint. I got not quite 10 pages read. I think that's pretty good, considering that it takes me a while to read some of these pages because like there's a lot that like goes on, and I just got to a part where like bad stuff could happen. So I'm like, oh no, oh no, oh no. So okay, yes. Princess, you liked Elantris. I've not read it as of yet. Honestly, the only Brandon Sanderson books I have read ever has been the first 2 books in Mistborn Era 1. So I am excited to get to Elantris because I've heard a lot of people really do seem to like it. Magic is weird, but it was fun. Okay. Yeah, I feel like what I really seem to enjoy so far with Brandon Sanderson is I just really think that he's done such a great job with building the entirety of Mistborn. Like, I just really like every single element from it, honestly. 9 pages, nice. Hello, Jessie. How are you today? We just got done with our first sprint, so you're, pretty much right on time, almost. We're going to basically go to about the 40-minute mark here before we do our next one. So give everybody just a short little break just to catch your breath, get your drink, snack, whatever you need. But yeah, so excuse me as I put up my hair because it is starting to bother me. I can't have my hair down ever for too long. Otherwise, it just gets in my way. And of course, I miss like an entire piece, but we're just going to ignore that. So yeah, Brandon Sanderson, I really, really just, I think with Mistborn in Well of Ascension, fell in love with just, I think, his ability to slowly but surely like give you little bits and pieces. And like, I feel that too, there's so much to explore with the world. Like it seems really silly, but those of you that play D&D at all, or like you watch D&D or whatever, it genuinely feels like that with this. It's like I'm in a D&D world. Like there's so much to explore. Like I seriously want to take like my own character and like explore the entirety of this world. And I don't know, just like I genuinely wish I could like go visit this world. And I haven't had a book make me want to do that in a long time. Like it's been a hot minute since especially like a fantasy book has made me want to like delve so far into the world as like a character. Reading The Duke and I, the first Bridgerton book. Okay. Partners reading Priory of the Orange Tree. Okay. I have Priory of the Orange Tree myself. I've not read it, but that's a pretty chunky book. Hope that they can get through that. I mean, this one's not that much different. I mean, this one without the glossary, mind you, that's always in the back of these books, is like 888 pages, I think. And if I'm reading The Fires of Heaven, 5th book in the Wheel of Time, if you're not aware. So I don't know whether, like, I know that The Duke and I and like the Bridgerton books, everybody really is a huge fan of those. I am not a big Regency romance person specifically. I find them in a lot of ways very misogynistic because it's supposed to be, because it's from like a time period that like is very misogynistic. But I don't know, like I'm not like a giant Regency romance person, so I'm wondering like whether or not people seem to like it just for the aesthetic that there is involved in it, or like is the romance actually really that good? Like I don't know. I would like to hear, because every time I hear anything about Bridgerton, it's about the show, not the books. And I'm not interested in the show. I'm very weird about watching new things through like Netflix and stuff. I definitely don't go out of my comfort zone in terms of shows because I just don't want to like waste my time. And I also don't want to waste my time with books. So what are your thoughts on it, Jessie? What do you feel like in terms of the romance, or is it more of like an aesthetic thing that seems to be really pulling you with the book? Because I know with the show, it would definitely be the aesthetic and the romance, but I would just want to see the romance. Dina Delantris at 56%. Oh, wow. So you were a good chunk of the way through. Objectively, it was a 4-star, but by my enjoyment, it was a 2-star. Things were annoyingly convenient, fat shaming by the bucket, dry witting, wasn't for me. That is more than fair. Excellent world building, but it was slow. Just read something I enjoy. Not every book is for everyone. Exactly. I mean, Princess and I earlier were talking about a book that we were reading for her book club that I DNF'd. I DNF'd like 33% through. And apparently she had a lot of similar thoughts to me that I had with it. But a lot of people in our book club basically were just like, why did you DNF it? It's so good. There's all these things. And I'm like, I don't like the writing. The world building was too weird and pedantic. It made me feel stupid, genuinely. And I didn't care about anything. I really didn't. I had no enjoyment throughout the entirety of it. But I'm interested to see what goes on in Elantris to like bring up some of the issues that you're talking about. Like, I'm curious to see how that goes for us. Will say not a huge fan of romance in this time period, but this is a lot more modern elements. I would say it also has a lot more female empowerment than I would expect for the time. Okay, that I enjoy more so hearing because again, like I said, the misogynistic aspect of a lot of Regency romances, I am not a fan of. And I know, again, it's part of the time period. It's what happened. But I'm happy to see that something this popular too plays a little more on the modern elements. I mean, it might not really make it even so much a Regency romance by that point, but at the very least, it makes it more enjoyable, which is what I would look for. So you may be changing my mind there, Jesse. You might be changing my mind in terms of whether or not to pick up Bridgerton, because if it's got some good elements in it that are newer, that are more modern, that are actually making it more enjoyable to somebody else who's not a fan of the Regency romances, I think it might be worth my shot, at least to read the first book. And I think at that point, I'll even like borrow it from the library if I can get my hands on it. Like, that'll be how I do it, because I'm not going to like pay so much for the book itself in the bookstore if I'm not going to enjoy it, you know? Having mixed feelings in regards to Elantris, I read it as well, and I can understand your thoughts. Read most of the Cosmere at this point. It's definitely my least favorite. Okay, so not just Issa, but you also have the thoughts about Elantris. Love the show. Okay, well, that's fair. I have heard nothing but good things about the TV show, genuinely. Like, I just, in particular, am not somebody who actively watches a lot of stuff like Netflix, Hulu. If I do, it's a lot of comfort stuff because, I don't know. There's this thing with me when it comes to like TV shows and movies that are new that like, as much as I might like, for instance, you know, like the Marvel movies, I don't know whether or not I'm going to actually go see Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, because I'm scared to see what happens. I'm genuinely like terrified of like not enjoying it. The last movie I went to go see that was new was Spider-Man No Way Home, and I loved it. But for months, I was dreading about going to the theater and like watching it, because I'm like, what if I don't actually like this movie and I spent all this money on these tickets and everything? And you can say the same for books. Like, you know, why would you then read new books all the time? You know, all these things. But for some reason, my brain does not make that same connection. Like, they are not the same thing for some reason to me. I don't know why that is, but that is how my brain works. And it frustrates the hell out of my husband, because like he wants to watch all this new stuff. He wants to like see things. And there are genuinely shows that I want to watch because either they're, you know, with people I really like or whatever. And it's just like, I can't get the gumption to watch them, but I can watch YouTube videos on end because they're shorter usually. They're like, I don't actually pay attention to them too much because they're more background noise when I work during the day. You know, like, my brain is weird. Does anybody else have this issue when it comes to watching stuff? Because I feel like I'm just like the odd one out when it comes to that. Read all the Bridgerton books last year. Some are better than others. They're very middle of the road for me in the history genre. But they're better than the history romance. Okay, but they are way better than history romance books. Okay. Saw Multiverse of Madness and I actively didn't like it. Totally understand your point. That's why libraries are so cool. Yeah, genuinely. Like, that is why I'm trying to like use the library, because like I have a lot of books. I buy a lot of books on a regular basis, but they're usually books that I'm already going to be part of like a reading series I'm doing. Like when I got the Wheel of Time books, it was pretty much like boom, 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 boom. I got all of them because I was planning on doing a reading series with them. I did the same thing with like Stephen King, now Brandon Sanderson. Like I get them because I'm a part of this reading series and I'm already enjoying what I'm reading from them. So it makes more sense for me to buy the books of authors that I'm actually actively enjoying than it is to, like get the Bridgerton books, and not sure whether or not I'm really going to like it. And because I'm so unsure about it, I want to like go get it from a library, because at that point, if I don't like it, then no harm, no foul. But I would hate to get the whole series and absolutely hate the first book to where I just spent all that money on all these books and not really want to read them. Not bad, but it's not the first history rom-com or history romance I would recommend, if that makes sense. Yeah, makes total sense. Like it's fine. It does what it needs to do, but it's not absolutely span freaking tacular. Spec freaking tacular. I can't word apparently today. I apologize. It totally does. Yeah, what would you guys recommend for like a history romance genre? Because like think about that here with the next sprint, because I would like to know. Like I said, Regency romances are really weird for me, so I would really like to hear some good recommendations. I know Tessa Dare is a really big one. I do have a lot of books on my wish list that are Tessa Dare because I've heard that a lot of hers are very fun. Still kind of in a lot of ways relying on that kind of, in some cases, the misogynistic aspect, but they are still very much enjoyable for most people in terms of the writing and the stories themselves. So that's one person I've heard of at this point. But we're going to go ahead and do our next roll and see what our next sprint is. That's a 1. We're not doing 5-minute sprints. That's not happening because those suck. Okay, so this one's a little bit longer, guys, just so you know. But we rolled a 9 that time, which means we're going to do a 45-minute sprint. Nice, good chunk of time. So we're going to go basically from 45 to about 30. So Lisa Kleypas, Tessa Dare, Sarah McLean, Joanna Shoup, Beverly Jenkins, some of your favorites. All of those names I actually do recognize because I have heard people talk about them in the past. So, all right, good to know. Good to know that what I've been hearing is pretty synonymous with a lot of people. So, okay, so this time we got a cute, another springtimey little timer. This one's more of like a flower-based one. Just, it's got cute flowers because it's springtime. I saw a ton of like those common blue violets out in my backyard today, and it made me so happy because I don't get those normally back where my parents live. Like they just get dandelions and that's about it. So I was very happy to see like little blue violets just coming out of the ground. It just made me so happy. All right, ready for 45. Nice. Hello, Rambler. Ooh, okay, Loki where mischief lies. Okay, so fun story before we get into the sprint. I'm getting Loki tattoos. And actually, you guys can't see this, but here, I'll show you real quick. Sorry for the motion. I apologize. But I have a Loki poster right here. He is my favorite Marvel character. And I'm going to be getting Loki tattoos for my birthday this summer. And I am very, very excited for that. So talk about more about that though in the next next break. So we're going to do 45 minutes, everybody. Get your book, get your snack, get your drink, whatever you need. Let's have a nice long sprint here. All right, get started. everybody. That's been 45 minutes of reading. Hope you guys did well. What did you end up getting to? I got, I think, about 30 pages of this read, and then I also took out Oscar, who is my puppy, for those of you that don't know, my little German Shepherd puppy. He, I believe, is currently sleeping in the living room as of now because he's very quiet, so I'm assuming he's curled up and gone to sleep. Man, this is getting really good. Like, I felt like the first half of this book was a little slow because we were trying to figure out, like, what the next step is for a lot of these characters involved in this, but it's getting to be really good. I'm actually kind of happy about that. So anyway, so going back to Rambler's thing here. So I was saying I'm getting Loki tattoos for my birthday. I'm very excited about this. I have been wanting these tattoos for a long time. So I'm very, very excited to get these. Like, I'm basically getting a set of his daggers, specifically the ones that are from the TV show that was released on Disney Plus, because they're supposed to be reminiscent of the ones that he had, I think around the Avengers, like the first Avengers movie. They're just aesthetically like my most favorite of the daggers he has. So I'm very, very excited for that. 120 pages. Holy crap. That is insane that you got through that much. Up to page 90, so you got through 21 pages. Nice. Good job. I'm trying to remember what happens. I think you're still in like the really early stages of a lot of stuff, because my copy of Mistborn was like 683 pages, I think, something like that. So yeah, you're still in like the very, very early stages of that, but I'm very excited to hear if you end up enjoying it as much as you do now. So, yeah, so we'll get started with our next sprint here in at the 40-minute mark. Just kind of take a little bit of a break, especially after having that nice long sprint. Make sure you guys are, hydrating, you're stretching, like especially after that long one, take a second to stretch. You finished your book. Nice. And switching to read City of Brass. That is another book I would really like to be able to read. I have heard nothing but good things about that entire trilogy. It's like just one of the many freaking things I need to get through, and I'm just like, I don't have the time. It also has good sized text, that helps. Yeah, it's not like this where it's like small text on kind of small pages. It kind of sucks sometimes, but I'm actually 533. So if I update my Goodreads, let me see this. Let me give you an accurate percentage according to Goodreads where I'm at. If I can log into my account, that would be great. Okay, there we go. So if I do, oops, that's not what I wanted. If I update it to 533, according to this, which it counts all the stuff in the glossary, I'm 56% of the way through, which is very, very nice. Loving it so far. So good. Oh, that's awesome. I'm so glad to hear. 634 pages. So yeah, still a lot to go, but I'm really enjoying it. The characters are great. The plot is great. Oh, Issa, just freaking wait. If you think they're great right now, especially the plot, oh, just wait. Just wait. Like, it's going to pop off and oh man. Like, I can't wait to hear how you get when you're at the end of it, like what your thoughts are, because oh, so exciting. Listening to the audiobook of City of Brass, only a couple hours in, but really like it so far. Yeah, I have heard nothing but good things about that series. Just like in general, like the world building and the magic system is really, really fascinating. I don't think I've ever heard a negative review in terms of City of Brass at all. Like, I think I have the first two on my Kindle currently, and I would like to read it. I feel like once I get through a few other fantasy series that like I need to like either like I want to get done with this one, I get done with The Witcher, because I'm working through that series as well. I think the next one I pick up will probably be City of Brass because it is one of my more anticipated ones. Oh, hold on, you guys. I'm going to go on mute for a second. My husband is currently calling me. So give me just a few minutes, okay? Okay, guys. Sorry about that. Husband is out currently, and we had to figure out some plans for tomorrow for Mother's Day because he wants to go visit his family. His dad has got like a pretty bad cold though, basically. So like we can't both be over there. It would be too much. And then um, more specifically, my parents' dog is not doing like the best. For those of you that have been around for a little bit, you might know that my parents' dog had to go into surgery a couple weeks ago. Basically, had bladder stones. She's doing fine now. She's actually doing really, really well, but she's still not like 100%. And Oscar's only like a 5-month-old puppy, so it would basically be too much for her. So basically, we had to figure out exactly for tomorrow what was going to be going on. So my husband basically and I just agreed that he's going to go see his parents in the like earlier in the day, and then he's going to come back, and I'll have Oscar here, and then in like the evening, I'll be going over to my parents' house for dinner and spending time with my mom and my grandma for Mother's Day. So he just had to like get that figured out with me. Hi, Tina. Joined right before that last sprint started and read 22 pages of Captive in the Dark by C.J. Roberts. Ooh, I like that title. It's a very nice title. But yeah, so for those of you that weren't aware, my parents' dog is doing much better. She's great. She's back to mostly like her normal temperament, but she still just has like a little bit of issues sometimes getting around because like she basically had her bladder worked on. But she's up, she's moving, she's able to go outside to go potty, which is like the most important thing. She's just, she's kind of having to still lay around and take the pain meds and the antibiotics and all that stuff, but she's doing okay otherwise. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get ready for our next sprint here right now because it's getting to the 40-minute mark. So let's see what we end up getting for today. Okay, we're going back to a short one this time. So this time we rolled another 3. So we're going to go back to a 15-minute sprint here to kind of offset that 45-minute one we just did. So pull up that other timer we had earlier, the nice little sunshiny one. There we go. That's what I want. So yeah, let me see. What can I... Okay, so a couple of you guys finished your books today and are starting new ones. I want to know from some of the people that are new to this this time. I want you guys to tell me what is your. Actually, no, I'll extend this to everybody because we're getting to almost the halfway point of the year. What book so far this year has been like your number one favorite? That might be hard for some of you. I apologize if that is, but I want to know what is so far this year your number one favorite book. Take some time during these sprints to think about that. Okay, everybody go ahead and get reading. Go. Okay, guys, that was the end of that sprint. Tina got through 11 pages of Captive in the Dark. Nice job. I got through, I think only, like 4 pages. I had to call my mom to like make sure she knew what was going on for tomorrow. And then Oscar came in and wanted to bother me, but he's already gone potty, so he's fine. 3 books that are basically tied for best book of the year. Ooh, what do you got? What do you got for best book of the year? Like, I don't care what they are. Just tell me. 12 pages. Nice. Awesome. So I say this too because I think I have a couple that might be tied. I feel like I'm a little stingier now than I used to be about giving books 5 stars. I've noticed that a lot where the majority of the books I read anymore are more 4-star than 5-star. Because for a lot of them, like especially the high fantasy stuff that I read, it's based on the amount of enjoyment I get and whether or not I feel like I'm being propelled throughout the entirety of it. 8 pages of Mistborn. Nice. Good job, Issa. So for me, I think that the ones that I give 5 stars, they have to be ones that like are super like influential or are usually something that's a reread for me or like just something that really kind of just hits in a very different way kind of thing. 2 favorites so far are All of Us Villains and the Inheritance games, but I think City of Brass is going to overtake both of those. That's possible. I would be interested to see if it does come to that at some point. I think right now, what I would consider my most favorite, the first thing that comes to mind is Arch Enemies by Marissa Meyer, which is book 2 in the Renegades trilogy. But that is a reread for me from this year because I've been rereading. I reread the first 2 books that I could end up reading the last one here this month. But that's the first thing that comes to mind. There's like a couple other ones that I think I could say would be favorites, but Arch Enemies like has a very special place in my heart. So I'm kind of biased with it, but I do think that that's got to be one of my like favorite ones from this year. Sweet Captivity by Julius Skies, Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover, and Taming Natasha by Nora Roberts. Okay, nice. Finished Loki. Awesome. Good job. And picked up Green Glass House by Kate Milford. Best book this year so far is Red at the Bone by Jacqueline Woodson. Only dislike was that it was too short. I love Jacqueline Woodson. Like, I read my first book I ever read by her actually was in a class I took in college for African American literature. And it was Another Brooklyn. And I fell in love with that. Jacqueline, though, like, that is part of her, like, I don't know, like, it's part of, like, what she does. Most of her books, to my knowledge, are very short, because I've also read If You Come Softly, which was very short, but also that YA kind of style. I think she's just it's very easy for her to write in a shorter format than most other YA authors, and I appreciate it because I feel like it doesn't really like go too far to where like the material is like too long, you know? Like I feel like that her lengths are pretty good for the kinds of books that they are, but I adore her. You can't choose between the 3 of the ones. Okay, fair. Best of the year for contemporary romance, The Long Game by Rachel Reed, and for fantasy, The Broken Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin. I've heard nothing but good things about N.K. Jemisin. I have yet to read something of hers, but I've heard nothing but great stuff. Fascinating. I have Renegades on my TBR, but I've been hesitant because I've heard not so great things. So here's the thing with Renegades. It's very much a kind of book where I think of it as kind of like a niche kind of story. Like you have to, I think, really enjoy the idea of superheroes because it's in a weird kind of genre area because it's not quite sci-fi, it's not quite fantasy. It's very reminiscent of the Marvel universe, I think, more so than like DC. because the whole thing, it's surrounded around how there's this entire world now where you have what are called prodigies. They are the people similar to like X-Men. You have the mutants kind of idea. It's very similar to that. They're very well ingrained in society. People know who they are. There's a whole society set up with them. And there's a history that's built in where at one point the prodigies were just prodigies. They were, the ones of just like ruling things. Then you had the anarchists, a group who wanted, the prodigies to take over as opposed to having to be kind of like hidden in the shadows, kind of take over. So like your Magneto, your Mystique, like that was kind of the group, the anarchists. And then you have the renegades who, after the anarchists were in power for 20 years, the renegades took over. They, basically just started running the show, but they were kind of at the time considered like your vigilantes. Whereas now the renegades are considered the good guys. And in that story, like, because of that, you have to be kind of very into, I think, the entire superhero dynamic, because I think for most people, they look for, especially with like Marissa Meyer, the very kind of cybery stuff with like the Lunar Chronicles and the fantasy elements that are played into it. But it's not really fantasy. It's not really sci-fi. It's kind of its own thing. And if you're not a fan of superhero stuff, then you probably are not going to really enjoy it. I am a huge Marvel fan, so I very much enjoy it. But I feel like, too, if you're not a Marvel fan, what you can find in it that is very fun is a very colorful cast of characters. You have BIPOC characters. One of our main perspectives is actually a Black teenager who is adopted by two gay men. And then you also have another character who basically is an orphan and has to pretty much like infiltrate the renegades to get information. Like it's a very complex story. And I think that like if you don't like superhero stuff, that's fair and all. But I feel like that the superhero stuff aside, the characters and the plotting of the story by itself is my favorite aspect. But I'm also very partial to Nova and Adrian. They are my babies. I love them very much. They are like my favorite characters ever. So I'm a little partial. Think you sold it to me. Oh, awesome. Yeah, like I said, I mean, it definitely is not for everybody. Not a lot of people. I think it is entirely possible, too, that one of the things is that they don't like Marissa Meyer's writing, which is fair. She's a YA author. It can get a little repetitive sometimes. The YA tropes and stuff kind of come in. If you're not a fan of those, you're going to not like that. But personally, it's my favorite YA series. But I put off reading Supernova, the final book, for so long, mostly because I was just terrified of how things were going to end. Like, I love the books. I'm just scared that it's going to be finally over. But I am going to be reading it here in May. So I will have a review for it at the end. Feel free to ask me any questions on it, because if you have questions on it as you're reading it, because I feel like that there are some things where you could get a little confused that I definitely picked up more this time during my reread of both Renegades and Arch Enemies that I think I didn't think about the first time that I read them. So if you have questions as you're reading it, feel free to let me know, because I would be willing to help you with anything you might have questions on. But oh my goodness, we're getting invaded by an Oscar. Bubba. Come here. Want to say hi to everybody? Want to say hi? Come here. He even brought his bone for all of us. Come here. Give me this. No, you give me. Come here. Come here. There he is. Wait. Ow, 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 ow. Oh, okay. Nope, we're going to go. Okay, bye. I love you. Are you going to stay in here? Are you going to stay in here and chew on your bone? Yeah, probably. Yeah. Appreciate that. I'll definitely reach out. Yeah, please feel free. My Instagram, my Twitter, any of that stuff, my Goodreads, like just whatever. I know, Floofy Angel. I know. He's my baby. He's still sitting right here with me. He's like, Mom, can you get off the computer already? I want to play. This is my baby. Oscar, come here. Come here. Come show the world your cute face. You have fans, my love. This is my Bubba. Yeah, he is a 5-month-old German Shepherd, and he is just the sweetest thing. I honestly, you guys, I don't know what I would have done if I never got him, because he's just the absolute best. I love this boy so much. He's so sweet. But he's definitely like, Mom, come play, please. Okay, so we'll get started with our next sprint here in a couple of minutes. We'll start at the 10 mark. Pets are the best reading companions for sure. Like, he's funny though, because like he normally sleeps with me. Like when I'm in here, he usually sleeps at my feet. But it's so funny because if my husband's home, Mom's chopped liver. Dad is all he wants, really. But he's so sweet because when I do actually start getting ready to read, a lot of the times he does, like if I'm on the couch, snuggle up on my feet, and he sleeps there as I read. And it's the best. I just love him so much. Ugh. One of my cats is using my foot as a pillow. Yeah, seriously. Like Oscar does that all the time. Like especially during the day, like because I have like a normal 9 to 5 basically job that I work from home. And so like I'm usually sitting here at this computer. And so sometimes he will sleep in the living room, but when he decides he wants to sleep in here, Oscar basically plants himself like either on top of my feet entirely, so I can't move, or he gets into like this little crevice between my leg and the leg of the table here. So he'll snuggle up right in there and just fall asleep, and he'll be there for like an hour and a half before I get up and move around. And then because he's a German Shepherd, he's super anxious all the time. So anytime there's movement, he's like, where are we going? Where are we going? Where do I need to be? Outside? Okay, great. Thanks. But he is the sweetest little thing. I just adore him so much. He's my favorite little thing in the world. Ugh, I could go on and on about my baby, but all right, so let's go ahead and do our next roll. We are now halfway through our sprints for the night, which is very exciting. It honestly feels like I've been streaming for a while, but it's only been a couple hours, which is kind of crazy. But let's see what we end up getting. Okay, we're going to get another long one. So looks like we're ending up alternating today, which is not normal. I feel like it's usually we get a good couple short ones in a row and then like a couple long ones, but we're in an alternating mood today. So this time we rolled a 10, which is a 50-minute sprint. Make sure you guys have got your stuff together for this because it's going to be a long one. We're going to be here for a hot minute. So this timer I have is another spring-inspired one. This one's got like cute little daisies and butterflies on it. It's so cute. Look at it. It's all these beautiful daisies and butterflies. I just adore it. It's so cute. This one's honestly, I think, my favorite spring timer that I've found, but very, very cute. So, okay, I am actually getting too close to my goal for tonight, so I think I'm definitely going to get to it in this sprint. Like, it's finishing the rest of this chapter, and then one more short chapter for me, and then I'll be done with the Fires of Heaven for tonight, and then I'm going to move on to reading The Book of Magic by Alice Hoffman. And hopefully get some good progress made in that, because I'm very behind on my reading schedule for this month, but I'm trying to take it as best I can and just get through what I can, and we'll kind of go from there. But for sure, I'll be able to get through some of the Book of Magic in this sprint. So, all right, folks, it is time. 50 minutes of reading. We're going to come back at the top of the hour and go through our final hour of sprinting. So have a nice long sprint. Hopefully you get a lot of pages in this time. And I will see all of you guys at the top of the hour. Go. Hope you heard that. I don't know if you did or not, but all right, guys, 50 minutes is done. That was a really long sprint. Holy crap. I did manage to get to my goal for the Fires of Heaven, so that's done. And then I got a little bit read of the Book of Magic, which is so sad. Like, I'm more emotional with this one than I think I have been with any of the other books in this series. Free ASMR, yeah. Because it's like, there's some people who like, they're just like, okay, we're done. And it's like, it scares the crap out of me every single time. So I figure I try to like warn you guys into it kind of thing, you know? And also, hello, Thrifty. I'm so glad you could join us tonight. We only have 1 hour left of sprints, though, which kind of stinks. But maybe we'll get another couple short ones in for you. We'll see how the D12 acts. But yeah, so read 20 pages and ate cereal. Nice. I actually grabbed myself a cup of chai tea and some orange chocolate Milano cookies. These are the bomb. These are like seriously my favorite Milano cookies ever. So got a nice little snack. And then I did take Oscar out again because he was really, really needing to go potty. And my husband's now on his way home. So he'll be here probably within the next like 10, 15 minutes, something like that. So does anybody got plans for tomorrow for Mother's Day? I know it's not Mother's Day for everybody. Like in the US, it's Mother's Day on Sunday. Like I said before, I am going to go see my mom like in the late afternoon, early evening. My parents are doing like a little cookout and my grandparents are come over. And then Robert is going to go see his mom earlier in the day, I think. Well, it might be earlier in the day, it might be later. I think it's going to depend on what he wants to do because I thought at first that my parents were having dinner later in the day. But because it's only going to be about like 3:30 when they have dinner, I might be able to get home earlier so then he could still come see his mom, like if he decides to go out in the evening. Decided to pick up Words of Radiance and read 42 pages. Oh, man. We are not... so I'm going to read along with another person that was in chat earlier. I think she's currently streaming as of now on Twitch, but Castle Library, she is hosting a Brandon Sanderson read along with several people. I don't know, Jesse, if you're a part of that or not. I don't think so, considering that you're starting Words of Radiance, but we just finished our second book, which was The Well of Ascension, book 2 in the Mistborn Era 1 series. We're not going to be getting to the Stormlight Archive until, I think, July. I think so, because we're reading the entirety of Era 2 of Mistborn in June, and this month is Hero of Ages. I think that's what it is, that we're getting to Stormlight in July, if I'm not mistaken. But I hope you like it. I hope that it's good. I've heard that The Way of Kings like was really, really good, and I'm very excited to be able to get to that once I can. No plans. My mother is busy, so we're celebrating next weekend. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, my mom's birthday is also like at the end of May. It's May 27th. So Mother's Day is always really weird because like I always get her stuff obviously for both, but it's kind of just a really weird thing because then also her birthday is usually around when Memorial Day is. So like she doesn't really care about the fact that like, you know, her birthday's after Mother's Day before Memorial Day. It's kind of annoying to her because she's like, it's in the middle of everything. And it would just be so much easier if like I didn't have my birthday between these two holidays. So, but she gets spoiled no matter what. So it's okay. Actually did a Sanderson read along last year with Books Before Death, but I got burnt out with so much high fantasy by Stormlight. Yeah, I will say that I am reading a lot of high fantasy at the moment stuff. Like I've got The Wheel of Time. I've got Brandon Sanderson. I'm working through The Witcher. I've got well, I guess those are the only 3 that I really have that's more high fantasy, but still, like, that's a lot considering how, like, the Robert Jordan books, The Wheel of Time, each of these is over like 600 pages. Like this one in particular is like with the glossary with the glossary involved is like 900 and some pages, 900 like 30. It's a lot. Like it's a big chunky book and it takes me a long time to get through it. But I think that this one in particular, it's actually much more fun now because I'm actually getting to like a point where like there's some really interesting developments, and there was like a whole like really nerve-wracking section of this one where I was like, what is happening? They are huge, like and especially like the Wheel of Time series, there's 15 books total that are all, except for one, over 600 pages. The only one that is not is like 350, and it's the prequel to the entire story of the Wheel of Time. But the prequel was supposed to have like at least a trilogy before Robert's passing. So it never got continued. And so like there's so much you have to read. But I will say, like, I'm having a good time with it. Like there's a couple books that I like more than others. I have a few books in this series that I did rate more of a 3-star, whereas the rest of them have been like 4 stars. Because I'm really stingy with my 5 stars really anymore. So I am enjoying it though. Like I actually am. I never thought I'd be able to like read this series and enjoy it as much as I have. So I'm really proud of myself for really taking on that challenge here this year where I was going to read like all of these books. But this was actually supposed to be my read for April. Because I started reading this series by reading the prequel in December of 2021 and then starting with the Wheel of Time, or no, reading the prequel in November, read the Wheel of Time in December. So I kind of like basically started a couple months early kind of thing. And I feel like that, like, where was I going with that? I don't know. I guess I'm just shocked because like my husband helped buy like a lot of this series for me because he thought I was really going to like it. And I do. I'm just like really still shocked that I'm enjoying it as much as I am, just because like it is so much. There's so much involved, and each book, like, it's so much content. There's so many things that are happening. Like when I go to do my reviews for these books, like it's so hard to figure out how to talk about these because it's literally a series where you have to kind of like read it for yourself, because I can only tell you so much because there's so many things that, you know, get brought up, and it very much feels like, you know, you can't talk about everything with this series because like there's just too many things all happening at the same time. There's too many things with each of the characters that are going on all at the same time that it's really hard to like condensely make something like a review video for these books without feeling like you're not giving enough justice for them. Glad you're enjoying them. I bought Eye of the Worlds to start eventually. You know, if you're a high fantasy reader, I think you'll enjoy it. Keep it in mind though, the Eye of the Worlds specifically, there's a lot of slow parts in the middle. Like the whole middle section is very, very slow because there's not a lot that happens, but like, because basically it's not necessarily like a big spoiler because this is pretty common with most high fantasies. People get split up, right? That's a pretty common thing. So in that time where people are split up, it's a very long part of the book where like you're kind of just seeing random things happen that like are on the adventures of all these characters. Nothing like really action filled, nothing really like plot driving. It's basically a lot of like, okay, so this is where this character goes because they don't know where they need to go. They're trying to find this one thing, and then it's like, oh, they've got these like other things that they're doing, you know, whatever the case may be. And I will say, if you get into it, what I have found is that books 3 and 4 are my least favorite because it's kind of on a cusp of ending a phase of the story and then starting a new phase. And so like that weird bridge between phases is really kind of hard because like there's not a lot of action that goes on. A lot of it is political based. There's a lot of things happening in terms of building the lore and building the world of the story that it's definitely something that is a little harder to get through, at least in my experience with it. Fires of Heaven, we're kind of like now fully into this new phase of the story. And so, like I said, there's a lot more action going on. There's a lot more very intense scenes kind of happening that are going to then, I think, carry on further. Like, just not like the last thing I read, but one of the things I read was like a character was being held in this state where like she couldn't move, and they basically were attacking her, and it caused there's basically things happen that are going to have massive repercussions later. There already were going to be repercussions with this character that like was bad, that basically like caused some bad stuff. But now there's like hell going to be paid for it. Definitely can definitely persevere. If I know it gets better, it becomes more plot driven. Yeah, like I said, 3 and 4, those books are slower just because there's a lot of things that need to be built up in terms of like explaining new parts of the world you get into, new political aspects, in terms of like overarching. Fires of Heaven focuses still on that for probably the first half of this book, but now we're getting to the point where like things are kind of starting to pick up a little bit. But I'm now just almost 60% of the way through it. That could still change at any point in time. So we'll see. But it is good. Do I think it is necessarily like the best thing since sliced bread? No. Like, I still feel like I haven't quite found that high fantasy series that is like the best of the best. Like, it's enjoyable. I like my time I'm spending with it. I enjoy the process of reading it. But I haven't found anything as of yet that's like a 5 out of 5 stars kind of thing. So I'm sure that once I get toward the end of the series, like that's going to probably become more apparent. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll kind of see how that goes. But also this month, I'm going to work on book 6, which is going to be Lord of Chaos, which I have no idea how that one's going to go. I pretty much try to go into the books blind until like I've read through them to read like what the overall synopsis is, because I never know what we're going to get into. I read the synopsis of the book, but I don't understand what any of it really means. So I basically still go into it blind. Is kind of what my thought is. All right. So I know we just did a really, really long sprint there for a little bit, but I hope that this little break for the last 15 minutes or so has been helpful to kind of get you back to where you are. Throw out there that I highly enjoy Mistborn Era 2. Very different from Era 1. Love them both so much. Yeah, no, I've heard that Era 2 is just, it's very different. I mean, because first of all, the Era 2 takes place 300 years after Era 1. So that makes total sense how it would feel very different. But I also have heard that like just in general, like the whole feeling of the world is so very different. So that makes me very excited. And also in the read along that I'm doing, we're reading all 3 of them in the same month because they're so much shorter. And we're also reading one of the short stories that's in Arcanum Unbounded. 1 second, guys, my husband's home. If you hear things in the background, my husband's home, so the puppy is very, very happy. Ooh, Girls of Paper and Fire. I have yet to read that. That is on my list of my AAPI reads for this month. So hopefully, if I get a chance where I like get my reading schedule all set up again, I think that that'll be one of the first ones I go to for a novel, because I have had that on my shelf for a long time. I've heard pretty mixed things about it, but it's very interesting to me, considering that it's a sapphic, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, guys, let's go ahead and roll for our next sprint here. See what we end up getting. Okay, so we are going to do a 30-minute sprint. We got a 6 that time, so not quite super long, but not super short either. Had an excellent time sprinting, but I think I'm out. All right, thank you so much for joining, Jesse. I really appreciate it. I'll be here every Saturday about the same time, 8 to midnight Eastern Standard Time. If you would like to come back, I really would appreciate, if you did, because they're very fun for me. I really enjoy doing them. So thank you so much for joining, and hope you have a great rest of your night. Bye. But for the rest of us, we're going to go through, I think, probably our last sprint for the night, just because it is getting late and we're only going to have like another 15 minutes basically for the end of sprints. So this time we're going to have a nice, fun roller coaster for this one. So hope it doesn't make anybody sick. I apologize if it does. But we're going to sprint for the next 30 minutes and I think call it for a night there. So everybody get back to your reading and enjoy it. And hopefully you don't fall asleep yet if it's super late like it is here for you. So, all right, everybody go ahead and get started. Okay, so looks like everybody's getting pretty tired. I am too. So great job, everybody, on these sprints. I know that some of them were very, very long this time, but y'all hung in there. I'm proud of you. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I don't know. I'm good. I'm happy. I'm glad we did this tonight. So yeah, if you guys are new, I do sprints every Saturday from 8 p.m. Eastern to midnight Eastern. And, I've got videos that come out on my channel all the time. So always feel free to, just say hello, come hang out. And I'm always bouncing around to other sprints and stuff. For instance, my friend Princess, who was in chat earlier, Castle Library, she does reading sprints pretty much almost every Sunday from 3 p.m. Eastern to like 6, 7-ish Eastern. And I'm in the Eastern time zone, so that's why I keep saying that. But yeah, she usually does them most Sundays. So if you're interested in more reading sprints, I definitely would recommend going to check her out. And like I said, she's also hosting a Brandon Sanderson read along that is very fun. We're having a really good time with that. And she also has a book club that you can join in on if you are interested in it. This month, we are working on another Brandon Sanderson book, which is The Rhythmatist, which is a dark academia, kind of almost steampunky kind of book. So anyway, guys, that's going to be it for me tonight. Thank you all so much for joining me. I will see all of you guys next week, and hope you guys have a wonderful Mother's Day tomorrow as well. And yeah, that's basically it. So I'll see you guys later. Bye, everybody.